My name is Holly, and what I'm about to tell you happened when I was 16. I used to walk our family dog every evening after dinner. Just a quiet routine in a quiet neighborhood. But one December night, something crawled out of the woods behind our house, and I still hear it sometimes, dragging itself across the dirt. The neighborhood I grew up in bordered a narrow patch of woods, nothing dense, just a strip of trees between our backyards and the main road. I'd been walking back there since I was little, and I never felt unsafe. Our dog, Milo, was a gentle old golden retriever, almost too friendly for his own good. He loved our evening walks, and my parents trusted me to take him. But on this particular night, around 7:40 p.m., Milo was different. He wouldn't leave the porch at first. He kept staring toward the woods, ears pinned back. I figured maybe he heard a raccoon or a stray cat. But the moment we stepped off the driveway, I noticed something else. Everything was quiet. Not winter quiet, not peaceful quiet. Dead quiet. Not even the sound of distant traffic from the main road. No wind through the branches. No crunch of winter bugs or rustle of leaves. Just nothing. We were walking along the worn path behind the backyard fences when Milo suddenly stopped dead. Not sniffing. Not curious. Frozen. His whole body was trembling. I whispered, "What's wrong, buddy?" Then I heard it. A soft thump, followed by a dragging sound, like someone pulling something heavy across the leaves. I turned toward the noise, expecting to see maybe a deer or someone cutting through the woods. But all I saw was darkness between the trees, until something shifted. At first I thought it was a dog, or maybe a person crouching. But then it rose up slowly, like it had to untie itself from the ground, and I saw arms. Arms that were too long. Arms that reached the ground even when it was standing nearly upright. It didn't walk. It didn't run. It crawled toward us on its hands. Its legs dragged uselessly behind it. I didn't scream. Not at first, because the thing moved strangely slow, like it was feeling its way across the ground instead of chasing us. Milo started barking, sharp, panic barks I had never heard from him. I yanked the leash and stepped back. The crawling man stopped. Then he tilted his head upward, and I saw his face. He had eyes, a mouth, a nose, but something was horribly off. His jaw hung open unnaturally wide, like it was dislocated on both sides. His eyes were glassy, reflecting the porch lights from our street, and his skin, it looked frostbitten, gray and peeling in some places. Then he spoke, not loudly, not in pain, but in this slow, breathless whisper. "Is that your dog?" I ran. Milo nearly pulled me off my feet as we bolted back toward our yard. I expected to hear the dragging behind us, but I heard nothing, which somehow was worse. When we reached the yard, I dared to look back. The crawling man was already at the fence. Not crawling anymore, climbing it. His arms hooked over the top boards and pulled his entire limp lower body up and over with shocking strength. No normal human with dead legs could do that. When he dropped down into the yard, he landed silently, like something weightless. Milo growled, hackles fully raised. I screamed for my parents, but my voice cracked. The crawling man started moving toward us, that same unsettling slow pace, his arms spidering forward while his legs dragged limp behind him. And he kept whispering, "Don't let him run." I pulled Milo up the back steps so fast he stumbled, threw open the door, shoved him inside, and slammed it shut. My mom came running, panicked and confused. Before I could explain, we heard it, a thud against the back door, followed by the soft scratching of fingers moving across the wood. My dad shouted from the living room, "What the hell is that?" Then, I swear to God, the crawling man's voice seeped through the cracks around the door. "Let me see the dog." My mom grabbed the phone to call the police. My dad ran to get something to defend us with, and I stood frozen in the kitchen, staring at the doorknob. It was turning, slowly, gently, like someone was testing it. Milo whimpered and backed into a corner, and that seemed to trigger something, because right then, the whispering outside turned frantic. Don't let him go. Don't let him go. The police said they were sending a cruiser, but before they arrived, I noticed something horrifying. The scratching at the door had stopped, but a new sound started. Tap, 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 from the window. I turned my head slowly, and there he was. The crawling man's gray, frostbitten face was pressed against the window glass, upside down because he was hanging there, hanging from the gutters by his hands, legs dangling like dead weight. His head jerked, scanning the kitchen until his eyes locked on Milo. And then, he smiled, wide, too wide, and whispered, "There you are." Behind me, my dad yelled for us to get upstairs. My mom was crying on the phone with 911. I grabbed Milo and ran up the steps as fast as I could. But halfway up I froze, because I heard something from outside. A second voice. Faint, soft, coming from the woods. Bring him back. Then another, and another. Whispers, dozens of them, all layered over each other. Bring him back. I looked out the upstairs window overlooking the tree line, and in the darkness I saw silhouettes, crawling, dragging, pulling themselves toward our yard, all with limp legs trailing behind them, all whispering in unison, "Bring him back." I didn't understand, not until much later. My dad told the police Milo used to be a rescue dog. He'd been found years ago wandering near that same stretch of woods, covered in cuts as if something had grabbed onto him. We thought he'd run away from a previous abusive owner. Now, I don't think that's true. I think he escaped something that wanted him back. When the police arrived, the crawling man dropped from the gutters and vanished into the darkness behind the house, the others retreating with him. There were no footprints, no blood, no signs of any people, just drag marks, hundreds of them through the leaves. The officers insisted it was trespassers or junkies. But no junkie can climb a house with dead legs, and none of them can crawl as fast and silently as that thing did. We installed a full fence, motion lights, new locks, but none of that matters, because every winter, around the exact same time, Milo wakes me up shaking violently, staring at the back door, and sometimes I hear faint dragging outside, and the whisper, "Bring him back." My name is Emily, and what happened to me 3 years ago still makes me check over my shoulder every single time I walk my dog. I was 24, living alone in a small apartment in Portland, Oregon. I had this routine. Every evening around 7 p.m., I'd take my golden retriever, Bailey, for a walk through the neighborhood. Same route, same time. I thought consistency was good for her. I should have known better. It started on a Tuesday in October. The sun was setting earlier, and by the time Bailey and I hit the trail behind the elementary school, it was almost dark. That's when I first saw him. He was standing near the fence line, maybe 50 feet away, just watching. Middle-aged guy. Jeans. Dark hoodie. Nothing obviously threatening, but something about the way he stared made my stomach drop. I kept walking. Bailey didn't even notice him. We finished our loop and headed home. I figured it was nothing, just some guy out for a walk like me. But the next night, he was there again. Same spot, same hoodie, and this time, when I passed by, he started walking too, about 20 feet behind me. My heart started hammering. I picked up my pace. Bailey trotted along, completely oblivious. I kept glancing back, and every time I did, he was still there, matching my speed, never getting closer, but never falling back either. When I finally reached the street where my apartment was, I practically ran the last block. I didn't look back again until I was inside with the door locked. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe he lived nearby. Maybe it was just a coincidence. But it kept happening. Every single night for a week. Same man, same distance, always following. I started varying my route. I'd turn down different streets, take Bailey through the park instead of the trail. It didn't matter. Within a few minutes, I'd spot him. like he knew where I'd be before I did. On the 8th night, I decided to confront him. I know, stupid, but I was exhausted and terrified, and part of me thought if I just asked what he wanted, maybe it would stop. I stopped walking and turned around. He stopped too. We stood there in the dim glow of a streetlight, maybe 15 feet apart. "Can I help you?" I called out, trying to sound braver than I felt. He didn't say anything, just tilted his head, and then he smiled. Not a friendly smile. It was wrong. Too wide, like he'd been waiting for me to notice him this whole time. Bailey started growling, the first time she'd ever reacted to him. The hair on her back stood straight up. Then he spoke. "You take the same route home every night, Emily." My blood turned to ice. He knew my name. I'd never told him my name. I didn't say another word. I grabbed Bailey's leash and ran. Full sprint. My lungs burned and my legs felt like jelly. But I didn't stop until I was inside my apartment with every lock turned. The next morning, I called the police. They took a report, but without a direct threat, there wasn't much they could do. They said they'd increase patrols in the area. That night, I didn't walk Bailey. I was too scared. I let her out in the tiny fenced yard behind my building instead. Around 8 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't open it. It was a photo of me, walking Bailey, taken from behind, just a few nights earlier. The caption underneath read, "You change your routine." I noticed. I showed the police the message. They traced the number. It was a burner phone, untraceable. But they finally took it seriously. They told me to stay inside, keep my doors locked, and they'd monitor the area. For 2 weeks, I barely slept. Every sound outside made me jump. I had friends come stay with me. I installed extra locks and a security camera. And then nothing. He just vanished. No more sightings. No more messages. The police never found him. I moved 3 months later. New city. New apartment. New dog walking route. But here's the thing that still keeps me up at night. Last week, I got a friend request on Facebook. No profile picture. No mutual friends. Just a name. Your evening shadow. I didn't accept it, but the account is still there. Still waiting. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm walking my dog in my new neighborhood, I swear I see someone watching from across the street. I don't think he ever stopped following me. I think he just got better at hiding. My name is Trevor, and I need to tell someone what happened last summer, because I still don't understand it, and I'm terrified it might happen again. I'm a dog walker. It's my full-time job. I run a small business in Austin, Texas, walking dogs for people who work long hours. I love it. I've always loved dogs. They're predictable, loyal, safe, or at least I thought they were. Last June, I got a new client request through my website. A woman named Helen. She said she had a German Shepherd named Duke who needed twice daily walks while she recovered from surgery. The pay was good, double my normal rate. She lived in a nice neighborhood on the east side. Everything seemed fine. She sent me her address and the garage code. Said Duke would be waiting in the backyard, and I could just let myself in through the side gate. She apologized for not being able to meet me in person. She was bedridden and didn't want to trouble me. The first day, I showed up at noon. Big house. Quiet street. I punched in the garage code and walked around to the side gate. And there he was. Duke. Beautiful German Shepherd. Dark coat, intelligent eyes. He wagged his tail when he saw me, and I clipped on the leash I'd brought. The walk was normal. He was well behaved. Didn't pull. Didn't bark at other dogs. A perfect client. But something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe it was the way he kept looking back at the house, or the fact that he barely sniffed anything. Most dogs go crazy exploring on walks. I returned him to the backyard, refilled his water bowl, and left. Easy money. The second walk was in the evening, around 7 p.m. Same routine. Garage code. Side gate. Duke waiting. Except this time, when I clipped on his leash, he pulled hard toward the street. Not playful pulling, desperate pulling, like he was trying to get away from something. I looked back at the house. All the windows were dark. No movement, but I felt watched. Duke calmed down once we were a block away. We did our usual loop, and I brought him back. As I was leaving, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. There was a dog bowl by the back door, with food in it. Fresh food. But Duke's bowl, the one I'd been filling, was on the other side of the yard, also full. I texted Helen that night, asked if someone else was helping with Duke. Maybe a neighbor? She replied immediately, "No, just you." Why? I didn't know how to explain it without sounding paranoid, so I just said I wanted to make sure I wasn't overfeeding him. "You're doing great," she replied. "Duke loves you." The next day, I arrived at noon again. Same routine. Garage code. Side gate. But when I opened the gate, Duke wasn't there. I called for him. Walked around the yard. Nothing. Then I heard barking, coming from inside the house. I shouldn't have gone inside. I know that now. But I was worried. What if Duke was hurt? The back door was unlocked. I stepped into a dark kitchen. The barking got louder, coming from upstairs. I climbed the stairs, following the sound. It led me to a bedroom at the end of the hall. The door was cracked open. Inside, there was a woman. In the bed. She looked frail. Pale. Her eyes locked onto mine. And chained to the bedpost was a German shepherd. Barking. Snarling. Fur matted. Ribs showing. "Who are you?" I whispered. The woman's face twisted into something between relief and terror. "He's been keeping us here," she said. "Me and Duke. For weeks." I didn't understand. "What do you mean? Aren't you Helen?" She shook her head, tears streaming. "I don't know who Helen is. My name is Karen. Someone's been living in this house. He comes at night. He leaves food. He watches us." My entire body went cold. "Where is he now?" "I don't know. But when you leave, he comes back." I called 911 immediately. Told them everything. The operator stayed on the line while I unchained Duke and helped Karen out of the house. The police arrived within minutes. They searched the entire house. What they found made my skin crawl. In the garage, behind a false wall, there was a small room, filled with photos. Of me, walking a German shepherd that looked like Duke. But wasn't Duke. The police explained it later. The man, whoever he was, had been catfishing me. There was no Helen. He'd created the profile, hired me, and used me as cover. While I was walking his dog, a trained, docile German shepherd he'd gotten just for this. He was keeping Karen and the real Duke locked inside. I was his alibi. If anyone saw me coming and going, they'd think everything was normal. They never caught him. He disappeared the day I found Karen. Karen recovered. Duke too. But I can't stop thinking about it. How many times did I walk past that bedroom? How many times was I 30 feet away from someone who needed help? And I had no idea. And the worst part, I still get client requests. New ones. With names I don't recognize. And I can't help but wonder, is one of them him? My name is Jenna. I'm 31 now, but when I was 16, I learned a rule that I've never broken since. And if you ever walk your dog in the woods alone, you need to hear this. I grew up in a small town in northern Washington. Dense forests everywhere. My family had a beagle named Copper, and every afternoon after school, I'd take him to the trail behind our house. There was this unspoken rule among locals. Never walk the trail after sunset. No one ever explained why. It was just something everyone knew. Something parents told their kids. Something hikers respected. But I was 16, and I thought rules like that were just superstitions. One Friday in November, I stayed late at a friend's house. By the time I got home, it was almost dark. Copper was whining at the door. He hadn't been walked yet. My parents were at a dinner party. I figured I could do a quick loop. 20 minutes. In and out. I grabbed Copper's leash and headed into the woods. The trail was darker than I expected. The trees blocked out what little light was left in the sky. I turned on my phone's flashlight, and Copper trotted ahead, sniffing everything like usual. For the first 10 minutes, everything was fine. Then Copper stopped, just froze in the middle of the trail. His ears went back. His tail dropped. I tugged on the leash. "Come on, boy. Let's go." He didn't move. He was staring into the trees, growling, low and constant. I followed his gaze, shining my flashlight into the darkness, and I saw it. At first, I thought it was a person, standing about 30 feet off the trail. Tall, thin, completely still. "Hello," I called out. No response. I took a step closer, squinting. My flashlight barely reached them, and then I realized it wasn't standing. It was too tall. Its proportions were wrong. The arms hung too low. The head was tilted at an angle that didn't make sense. Copper's growling turned into panic barking. I backed up slowly, pulling Copper with me. My heart was slamming against my ribs. The thing didn't move, but I felt it watching me. Felt in a way that made my skin crawl. I turned and started walking back the way I came. Fast. Copper stayed close to my legs, still barking. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Behind me, matching my pace. I broke into a run. Copper bolted ahead, pulling me forward. My flashlight bounced wildly, throwing shadows everywhere. The footsteps behind me got faster, closer. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I just ran. The trail felt longer than it ever had before, like it was stretching, like I'd never reached the end. And then I heard something that still haunts me. A voice, right behind me, whispering, "Don't. Run." It wasn't human. The tone was wrong. Too deep, too hollow. But I didn't stop. I kept running until I saw the lights of my house through the trees. I burst out of the woods, stumbled up the driveway, and slammed the front door behind me. I locked every door, every window. I sat in the living room with Copper, shaking, until my parents came home. I tried to tell them what happened. They didn't believe me, said I'd scared myself, that my imagination ran wild in the dark. But the next morning, I went back to the trail, in daylight, just to prove to myself that I had overreacted. I found the spot where I'd seen the figure. There were marks on the ground, deep, dragged, like something heavy had been standing there. And carved into a tree, about 6 feet up, were words, "You broke the rule." I never walked that trail again, not even in daylight. But here's what keeps me up at night. A few weeks later, another girl from my school went missing. She was last seen walking her dog on that trail after sunset. They found her dog 3 days later, alive, unharmed, sitting at the trailhead. They never found her. I'm 31 now. I live in Seattle. I still have a dog, a different one, and I still walk him every day. But I follow the rules, whatever they are, wherever I am, because some rules aren't superstitions. Some rules are warnings. And if you ignore them, something will make sure you learn why they existed in the first place.